Hey everybody, welcome back to my garden. I just wanted to follow up on something that I was doing a couple months ago, which was basically doing citrus from cuttings. Wanted to show you another way to propagate citrus that has some ups and downs to it, and that is doing it by seed. Today I'm using some Trabita orange seeds. It's a very sweet variety of orange that I've absolutely fallen in love with, and I'd like to try to propagate some on my own. And basically, what we're going to be doing here is getting these to a point where they can seed out. Now, a couple things to consider when doing seed versus cuttings is seed are not always true to the fruit. Usually with citrus, you're pretty close, but not perfect necessarily. The other thing to consider is that, of course, it takes a lot longer than if you already have a cutting going. But that said, you'll get a much higher germination rate out of seeds. Whereas with cuttings, you only maybe get 10 to 20% of the cuttings that you take on citrus will actually root. These will be much more like 90% of the seeds will germinate. So just to kind of show you what this looks like, the citrus seeds, they have this kind of white outer shell, and that we need to remove because that prevents water from getting in. The only things that I have done to this seed are as soon as it came out of the fruit, I basically soaked it in water for about half an hour. If it has already dried and you're getting to this point here, you'll want to soak it for a little bit longer, maybe up to 2 hours. And then you'll want to take it out of that and let it sit for a half an hour to an hour so that it's dry and easy to handle. Otherwise, they're kind of like slimy and slippery and it's difficult to work with. But you do want to soak them for a period of time just so that there is some moisture in there. It helps peel this outer skin off. So what I'm going to do, there's really no exact science to this, but I'm going to kind of come in at one of the edges here with my nail, and I'm just going to break it off, break it open, and you'll see that I can kind of peel the skin right off. It's not too difficult. It'll usually come off in a couple of, bigger pieces. Okay. Just trying to get all of it off of there. Making a little bit of a mess, but that's okay. Okay. This is what you get. Different varieties are going to look a little different from one to another. This particular one is kind of brown, and then it's got like a reddish spot on the bottom. I don't know how well you can see that, but yeah, it's pretty easy. Now, I could stop here, and I could just go to the end stage, which is basically putting it in a damp paper towel and then in a Ziploc bag. That's all the equipment you're going to need for this, by the way, is a damp paper towel and a Ziploc bag and your seeds. Or I can go one step further. This will work fine, but you will get a slightly better germination rate if you go one step further. Now, this is the part where you have to be a little bit delicate. If you see on this one here, there's a bit of white sticking out there. And that's because there is actually 2 layers of skin. And actually, see, this one I kind of messed up a little bit by doing it. I think it'll be okay though, because sometimes you'll get more than one little piece of the corm, and that's CORM, in each of these little seed bits. But this is another layer of skin. And all citrus seeds that I'm aware of anyway have a white corm center. And if you want to bring it down to this state, this will give you your absolute best germination results. Putting this directly into your moist towel will give you the best possible results. Okay, so I'm going to do a couple more here, and then I'll show you how this all kind of comes together. Just take me a few moments here. You know, obviously this is a very delicate seed, so you want to kind of be as delicate as you can with it. Oh boy. Of course I say that right as I drop it. And ideally you want to have washed your hands recently. You know, you don't want to be bringing bacteria and stuff into the mix. So I've already got 3 now. And I can pretty well guarantee you that all 3 of these are going to germinate. The bigger and fatter the seed is, typically the more viable it is. So I definitely recommend doing that, you know, keeping that in mind. As far as getting the inner shell off, there's sometimes like a little bit of a point at the end of one of the seeds, or at the end of the seed, that you can kind of just like start to break off, and that will give you a good opening. Once you have, I'll try to do this, you know, as close as I can here. Once you have it, you know, started, it's very easy to just peel the rest of the skin right off. It all comes right off with it. See, it comes off in a whole piece even, oftentimes, like that. And then this is a really good, viable seed right there. So, okay, gonna do a couple more here. And actually I'll do that on my own time, because you don't need to see that. But basically all I'm gonna do is just kind of evenly space these out on a wet rag. This is, you know, should be damp all the way through, but not dripping. I basically, what I do is I wet a paper towel, I wring it out, and then unfold it again. That's all there is to that. Okay. And what I'll do is on a single layer here, actually, I'll fold that through like that, kind of pat it down. And if I only have a couple, you know, I'll make a double layer or whatever. And then all I have to do is stick this little package into a Ziploc bag. I remove as much air as I feasibly can. Now all I got to do is put this somewhere that's relatively warm. It doesn't need sunlight. It doesn't need, you know, anything special done to it. It just needs to sit basically for about a week, maybe a little bit more, a week to 2 weeks, and they will start germinating. They'll start making sprouts. And as soon as that happens, you know, go ahead and throw it in some soil. You know, not too deep, maybe, you know, half an inch at the most, quarter to a half an inch deep, with the sprout end going down, of course, and then water it in. And that's really all you need to do to get a citrus seed going. So I hope that was informative for everybody. I hope that helps somebody out with their gardening experimentation and their working with citrus. So thank you so much for watching my channel, and happy gardening.